Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we're learning Nedarim page 40, which continues to discuss the theme that we mentioned yesterday, namely the mitzvah of Bikur Cholim, of visiting the sick. And the reason why the Talmud tells us it is a special mitzvah to go visit the sick is because once you're there, you'll have the opportunity to get to know this individual better and understand exactly what's wrong with them, and therefore you'll be able to turn in prayer and ask mercy that that individual should have a full and speedy recovery. And therefore, it's when you actually go and see this person and are able to assess this individual's needs, then you're able to pray. And therefore, you're actually giving that person life. However, if you don't show up, then you're losing that opportunity for that person to have someone pray on their behalf. And because of that, the Talmud tells us that it was advised by Rabbi that when he was sick, or for that matter, anyone that was sick, he would tell them that even though he was in bed and obviously couldn't get the word out, that he told people that everyone should spread the news that in fact he is sick. And once people know that he's sick, then all of a sudden people will pray on his behalf. And this is the reason why in synagogues we say a special prayer for those who are sick. And in many synagogues, the actual names are mentioned, so that people should be aware exactly who is sick. And therefore, just like that prayer, they should also add them in their prayers as well. The Talmud also here talks about visiting hours. There's a reason why hospitals don't want you to come at all hours. Even though it's certainly a nice gesture for you to come, there is the potential of a negative or a downside. On this, the Talmud says you should not visit someone the first 3 hours in the day, and also visiting hours are cut off at night. A person should not visit the last 3 hours of the day. And on this, the Talmud gives a very fascinating reason why. It says, typically when a person is in the morning, they hopefully had a decent night's sleep in their hospital bed or wherever they may be, and therefore, if you would visit them right away, you would see that they may not look so bad. They actually may look a lot better than they really are, and maybe because of that, you may say to yourself, it doesn't really look like I needed to even visit this guy. He looks pretty good, and I'm certainly not going to pray on his behalf. However, you should visit him in the middle of the day where things may have worn off and he's a little bit more exhausted. However, you shouldn't visit him at the very end. Because if you visit him at the very, very end of the day, in which he's extremely exhausted, and you may end up seeing that he looks a lot worse than he really is. And you may end up having the opposite approach. You may say to yourself, I really feel bad for this guy. He's on his last legs. He's really, really sick. He's probably dying. Not much of a point for me to pray for him at this stage of his life. The truth is, those prayers could have meant something, because he actually was a lot better. But you visited him at his worst moments. And therefore, it's really important to recognize that even though you certainly want to visit someone, but if a doctor tells you this is not a good time for you to go and to step into the ER and to interrupt this person from their rest, even though you may want them to know that you came, so you can write a little note, but don't wake them up and don't do something in which is going to be detrimental to their health and take away from their recovery. And that's the idea of what the Talmud is telling us. The power of prayer, but also the recognition that you need to know the best time to visit someone and be respectful of their wishes.